You've cut the calories, you've walked more, and still that stubborn belly fat won't budge. Does that sound familiar? It's not your fault. It's your hormones. During menopause, your body changes the rules. The belly fat becomes more stubborn and it is much harder to move. And that's because it's a hormone issue and no one tells you this. Hit subscribe. I break this down every single week. Let's talk about menopause belly fat because it's one of the most common and frustrating symptoms women ask about. And no, it's not just about eating less and moving more. Here's what actually is going on. When estrogen drops during perimenopause and menopause, your body starts to redistribute fat, especially to your belly. Estrogen used to help keep fat more evenly spread out across your hips and thighs. But as the levels decline, the fat starts to shift inwards, settling around your abdomen. And less estrogen also means more insulin resistance. And that is your body becoming less efficient at managing blood sugar. So even if you're eating the same, your body may be storing more of it as fat, especially here around the middle. The insulin resistance is your fat storage mode. And this makes it much easier to gain weight and much harder to lose it, particularly the deep belly fat known as visceral fat, the kind that sits around your organs and is linked to inflammation. Now, add in stress to the mix if you're juggling work, family, and you've got sleep struggles, or just the mental load of life, your cortisol levels are probably up. And the cortisol is also a fat storing hormone. It signals your body to hold on to fat, especially here in the belly. So here's the truth. Menopause belly fat isn't about discipline or willpower. It's about shifting your hormone environment. The old rules you followed in your 30s may not work now because your body is playing a totally different game. One of my clients was walking daily, cutting carbs, but still gaining inches. And it turns out her cholesterol was just through the roof from skip meals and far too much cardio. So let's talk about the hidden triggers that keep that fat locked on during menopause, especially this belly fat. There are things that seem harmless or even healthy, but they actually work against your hormones and your metabolism. I know that skipping meals might seem like a smart way to cut calories, but here's the catch. When you skip meals, especially breakfast or lunch, it actually slows down your metabolism, making your body feel like it's in a stress, and it raises the cortisol, which is your stress hormone. On top of that, long gaps between meals can worsen the insulin resistance, which is already a big challenge because of menopause and all those hormone changes. So your blood sugar crashes, your cravings skyrocket, and that fat, well, just stay stuck. I worked with a woman who told me she was being good. She was skipping lunch every day because she thought that eating less would help her lose the weight. But by 7 p.m, she was starving. She was raiding the fridge, eating everything in sight and feeling like she had no willpower. The truth, her poor body was just in survival mode. And when we added a balanced lunch with protein and fiber, her evening cravings disappeared. And so did the guilt. Healthy sugar bombs. Oh my goodness. So many women come to me saying, I eat really clean. I have protein bars, I eat granola, I have low-fat yogurts. But here's the thing, a lot of these so-called healthy foods are packed with hidden sugar. Those protein bars, many have more sugar than a Snickers. Low-fat yogurts, they're full of sweeteners to make up for the fat they removed. And what happens when you eat them? Your insulin spikes, the fat gets stored, especially around here. You're hungry again in an hour. And so it's just this blood sugar roller coaster. I had a client who was trying to eat 2 clean snack bars a day. We looked at the labels and each had nearly 20 grams of sugar. That's more than some candy bars. And once we swapped these for real food like eggs and apples, nut, or a homemade protein bite that she had control over the ingredients with, her energy cravings and her waistline all improved. And then there's inflammatory foods. Now, this one can be a bit more individual, but it's still a biggie. Inflammatory foods are often classed as gluten, dairy, or processed seed oils. And they can just behave like sneaky fat lockers for some women, especially during menopause when their body becomes more sensitive. Because when you eat foods, your body reacts to these inflammation foods. They can trigger a low-grade inflammation, not enough to make you often feel really that bad, but just a bit uncomfortable. Get off it. And what happens in that inflammation is that it raises cortisol. And by raising cortisol, that leads to the bloating, the fatigue, and you've guessed it, the stubborn weight gain. So you see, you don't have to cut everything forever, but noticing how you feel after certain meals, especially if you're constantly bloated or you're feeling like you've got really bad brain fog, you can really see if these are clues as to why your symptoms are getting particularly worse. So here's the takeaway. Weight during menopause isn't just about calories out. In fact, it never is. It's more about what you digest and absorb. Just hitting the gym will never outperform a poor diet. It's all about supporting your menopause hormones and reducing those hidden stressors like skip meals, sneaky sugars, and foods that your body finds inflammatory. And when you work with your body and understand how your body works, instead of fighting against it or copying what somebody else does because it's working for them, that's when the weight comes off more easily. And you start to feel a whole lot better too, partly because you've dropped the guilt. Do you want help spotting your personal fat storing triggers? Let's chat. I'm always happy to help you figure out your next best step. So let's have a look at what people are eating in the real world and how we can make those a little bit better. Lots of people think a breakfast like this, something that's granola based, it's got strawberries in, sounds pretty healthy. Let's compare it against just good old porridge and porridge oats, to which you could add strawberries, frozen or fresh. The big difference is the amount of sugar. So, oats, you've got the ingredient breakdown, and what you find is there's no added sugars. This cereal still sounds pretty okay when you read the ingredients, other than once you get a bit further down the line and you realize that the second ingredient is sugar, that should raise alarm bells. And then when you read here on the ingredients side, you can see that under carbohydrates, it says added sugars. And that's what we're looking for. We don't want those added sugars. Added sugars are what gives us those spikes. Some people eat little protein bars, or this one's being marketed as a source of fiber, but they're generally all the same. Ingredients that sound healthy, usually involving nuts, and that's what people are associating with protein and health. This bar is only 50 grams. It's the size of a small biscuit, and it probably really wouldn't fill me up. Even if I was feeling peckish, I'd still want more than this. What you find is that this little bar has 218 calories in it. You will also find when you read the ingredients that it doesn't have sugar, but it has rice syrup. Now, rice syrup is still a source of sugar. So this source of sugar means that when you look at the carbohydrate breakdown, it shows you the amount of free sugars. And the amount of free sugars in this bar is 12.8 grams. That's about 2 teaspoons. That's a lot for a little bar. You wouldn't have the sugar probably in a tea or a coffee, so why would you have it in a bar? You'd be much better off if you ate something that was higher in protein and was a true protein, like an egg. You can have it as a hard-boiled egg. You could have it in a quiche. You could have it as a poached egg if you're watching your fat intake. There's so many options with eggs. And then you've got a nice nutrient-rich snack. And it'll fill you up an awful lot more than a little bar. And then one of my favourite topics is flavoured yogurt. Yogurt is made from milk. That should be the only ingredient that is on, I'll show you there, on the packaging. It should just be milk. That's yogurt. When we have a flavoured yogurt, you will see a long list of ingredients. I haven't got one to show you because I don't buy them. If I buy it, I'd have to eat it. And I don't want to eat these foods because they're full of artificial flavours, often added sugar as well. Plus, they have thickeners, and these are all put in to give you the texture of how the yogurt would have felt if it had had fat in it. But they take away fat, and then the yogurt's really thin, doesn't taste very nice. So to get through their marketing panels and their market research, they add ingredients back to make it feel and taste closer to this. But there's a lot of chemistry involved to get it to that point. And if you really do want to have it with fruit, which is a healthy thing to add to your yogurts, then the cheapest way to do it is to buy a bag of frozen berries or any other frozen fruits that you really enjoy. You can portion it up really small in the freezer because I know sometimes they form a big clump. Just do little handfuls in little freezer bags, and then in the morning, just tip it into your yogurt and you've made your own much healthier flavored yogurt. So that's my top tip. So the takeout of this is that it's not about always eating less. You have to eat smarter. It's all about eating nutrient dense food. So it's not just about the carbohydrates, the fats and the proteins. It's about all the vitamin and minerals that go into that portion of food as well, because that's where the health is. Let's talk about belly fat, because there's a belly fat reset protocol that I would really like to share with you. It is actually possible to lose weight during menopause, but it takes a very different strategy than before. This is no longer what you did in your 30s and when you were a gym bunny and out doing all those gym activities. And every time you put on a couple of pounds and you were going on holiday, you could just hit the gym, lose the weight, and you look great in a bikini. Things are different now because you're in menopause. We need to shift our body out of that fat storing mode and into a fat burning mode, especially around the belly. So first of all, we need to start the day with protein and fiber. And your first meal sets the tone for your blood sugar all day. Instead of reaching for the toast or the cereal, go for something like eggs or sauteed spinach and avocado. You see, protein keeps you full and the fiber supports your digestion. It feeds your good bacteria in your gut where all your health and immune system is all manufactured. It's such a powerhouse inside your body. And we want to eat healthy fats because they keep our hormones happy. Secondly, we want to balance our meals with slow carbs, with healthy fats and with protein. We need that balance and we need it at every meal. So every time you sit down to eat, think, where's my protein? Where's my fiber? And what's my slow carb? What's my healthy fat? Start thinking salmon with roasted veggies and quinoa, or chicken with sweet potatoes and greens. Because these combinations keep that blood sugar really steady and reduce those fat storing insulin spikes. And then we want to look at lowering the cholesterol with a calming morning routine. High cholesterol means more belly fat. Before diving into your emails or your to-do list, take 10 to 15 minutes to walk, to stretch. This is the time to do your yoga in the morning, to do journaling if that helps you brain dump and with your mindfulness, or just simply breathe and enjoy the day. Even a short, calm start can reset your nervous system, and this will impact the fat storing effect of your hormones. And use movement strategically. There's just been some new research out that if you walk for just 10 to 15 minutes after a meal, it has a significant and dramatic effect on reducing your blood sugar. And this improves your insulin sensitivity and ultimately will support your weight loss, especially if you do it consistently. And then there's our good old friend, tracking portion sizes. But I don't want you to obsess, because that doesn't get us anywhere. You're not counting every calories, but you need to just be mindful of the size of the portions. And it's so simple with visual cues. The palm of your hand is your portion size. So if you have small hands, then your portion size is smaller. And someone with a very large hand, their portion size will be bigger. And that's for children, for women, and for men. Work on your portion size. And if you focus on just a fistful of carbs and a thumb of healthy fats, then using that as a guide, it's quite easy to stay in balance without really worrying about calories, because it's more than calorie counting. It's much more to do with keeping what you're eating in proportion to the other nutrients on your plate. So you see, the key here is it's gentle consistency. It's not about restriction. It's all about creating a hormone-friendly, nutrient-rich environment to support your health and to help your body let go of the extra weight. And you don't need to do this all at once. Just pick somewhere to start and build from there. You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. And that's always my motto. So just start. Take one step at a time. So do you want a full list of foods that support hormone balance and reduce that belly fat? Well, grab my free Menopause Superfoods guide. It's got lots of simple swaps and meal ideas, and it's down here in the bio. And if you want to reset and get a plan to get started this week, grab my 3-day reset cheat sheet. The link is also in my bio. And in the next video, I'm going to share the top foods that secretly make your symptoms worse. So don't miss it.